And welcome to the third annual Mindfulness in America. There's probably going to be a few people kind of meandering in here, so we can just kind of make space. It's really an honor to be here and to see all you and to do an event in New York. We started these events in San Francisco, and we've done them about 11 years in San Francisco, and I think this is the third Mindfulness in America we've done in New York City. And I always love New York City because there's just a different vibe and a pace and an energy here. San Francisco, people are just a little more laid back and mellow. And in New York, it feels like it's like very vibrant. And it's been really cool to see the whole community of mindfulness really grow in New York City. I mean, it's growing in the Bay Area, but New York City just feels like it's kind of holding the heart a lot of this movement. The next thing is, if you have a phone and it makes noise, you probably want to turn it off now or silence it. It can be a little humiliating to have your phone go off in a mindfulness conference. If you're wanting to work with public humiliation, you might want to leave it on and just notice the feelings that arise in you and see if you can just be with those non-judgmentally. So if you want to play with that, feel free to leave your phone on, but generally people choose to not have to try to experience public humiliation. So if we could silence those are greatly appreciated. We don't have a hashtag. We really encourage people to just be present for the conference, but you can always share later. But in general, we're encouraging people just to be as present as you possibly can, understanding that our phones and we have children and other things that need our attention, but as much as possible, be fully present. And that's the greatest gift we can really give ourselves and also the speakers. And one of the things I've noticed is, as a speaker or as the people coming out, if they walk out, and you see these at tech conferences, and like 9 out of 10 people is looking at their phone or at their laptop, it doesn't bring out the best in them. But when a speaker walks out or people walk out, and all of a sudden you walk out to 500, 600 people who are fully present and listening, it brings the best stuff out of people, right? So thank you for bringing your full attention and joining with us in that. Because as much as we might look at, there's a stage and then there's an audience, it's actually more that we kind of share a field together and we create a field together. And your presence and your attention is really important for kind of cultivating a very rich and alive community here. So what I want to do before we move on a little further is find somebody close to you. You might know them, you might not know them, and just tell them what it is that brought you here. And you have about 2 minutes each. Thank you. And then very briefly, we're going to find a second person, not the same as the first person. Find a second person, and you'll have about 2 minutes to say what mindfulness means to you. What does mindfulness practice mean to you? So see if you can look around and find somebody that wasn't that person. If we can bring our attention back in the room, thank you. So hopefully you'll be able to connect with somebody that you don't know, because part of what we want to do here is we want to provide awesome talks and panels and interviews, but we also really want to foster community and hopefully foster connections. And I think for me, one of the beautiful things about mindfulness is that there's this quality of mindfulness or awareness that one is inherent in every one of us, and two is always accessible. And it's what partly makes life real. When we're actually talking to somebody and we're connecting to that person, like life becomes more real to me. And if I'm actually attuned to my body and my mind to heart, life becomes more accessible and more real. And instead of living life based on all these stories that we have and these projections we have of the past or of the future, and all these stories about who we are, whether we have the story of success or the story of failure or whatever our story is running, it makes us miss the moment. And we can live much of our lives actually missing the moment, always reaching for the future, always reaching for the past. So I think part of what brings us here is that there's this community of people that are realizing, one, for us to be happy, and two, for us to solve the great political and ecological and social challenges of our time. None of that's going to happen unless we learn how to show up. And we learn how to be fully present for our lives and for our mind and body and heart, for another person's mind, body, and heart, for the Earth's mind, body, and heart, that we have to have this quality. And as I mentioned before, the beautiful thing about this quality is it's always accessible. We might not be able to access it, but it's like the sun. The sun's always shining. We might not be able to see it, but it's always there. And for me, mindfulness or awareness is always there. It's always present. And it's inherent in each one of us. It doesn't matter whether you've got a PhD or don't have a PhD, or whether you grew up in this city or that city. So there's this quality that's inherent in every one of us that's always accessible. And I think the world in some ways is crying out for. If you watch the news these days and you look at all the division that's happening, all the discord that's happening, all the meanness that's happening, how do we shift the world from this level of division and meanness and this sense of identity and separation to a world where there is more compassion and more humanity and more connection and more of like a shared, we see each other's suffering and we're able to respond to that suffering. And for me, it's really hard to imagine a world where we're able to do that without looking at ourselves and looking at our own suffering and our own pain and learning how to be present with ourselves. So this day and tomorrow for me really is about kind of how do we save ourselves and how do we save our planet, knowing that that's going to take internal changes and it's also going to take external changes. But we also have to look inside at our own mind, body, and heart in order to do that. And it's a great honor to have you, part of you, in this mission and in this journey, because from the outside, being aware, being present, it doesn't come with any flash. It doesn't look so amazing, It's not like from the outside it necessarily looks super powerful, but from the inside it's super, super powerful. And so for people who speak that same language and who understand each other, it's just a real honor for me to join with you in saying, wow, how do we wake up personally, and then how do we wake up the world? And how do we more fully show up so that we can do that? And I think in part the challenges that we're facing, both politically, environmentally, and all these challenges, somewhat are an invitation to us that we can no longer kind of sleepwalk through life, that there's a different level of awakening and awareness that needs to happen. So I'm so excited to have a lot of researchers and activists and practitioners to present today, who I hope will offer us pieces in this kind of new vision for America and new vision for what humans can be. I think humans historically haven't shown the best of ourselves, and I think kind of now's the time to really step up and to see what kind of world can we create when we're as fully conscious as possible. So in order to kind of create that, I want to introduce our first speaker. Her name is Rhonda McGee, and Rhonda is going to come out in a moment and lead us in a short meditation. I will give a longer bio for Rhonda later on when she is on a panel. But she's the author of a book that's just coming out now called The Inner Work of Racial Justice. So if you have not seen this book or read this book, please find one. It's an amazing book. But for now, please welcome Rhonda to the stage to lead us in a meditation.
Yay! I know it's early. I know it's early. It's early for me too. It's especially early for me because I normally live in San Francisco. So I'm still, in a certain sense, arriving, but feel very much with you. And I want to just really thank everybody for showing up and invite us all into a bit of practice to help sort of seed and integrate all of the energies that are alive in us, that are kind of bubbling up, that are part of what brought you here and part of who you are right now, all right? So when we come together like this, we often get questions like, who are you, where are you from? And we get into a conversation that's often up here. Part of what we want to do with this conference is support you in really deepening into where are you from? Where are you really from? So what brings you here in a deeper sense? And who you bring, like as you enter into conversations, into interactions. The heritages, the cultures, all the wisdom that is in your DNA, the wisdom of your lived experience to this moment. We invite you to draw on that as a deep strength, because we don't believe there are any accidents. And we know there's a lot of learning we need to do from each other, with each other, right? Does this make sense? So how best can we learn from each other? How much better than by resourcing, really sensing into, in a deeper sense, who we are. So I invite you to just sort of take a moment in this moment. I'm going to sit with you. For a moment, we'll sit, right? Be a couple of different meditations, but let's begin by just sitting and really arriving, pausing, feeling the body in this moment, in this space, the ground beneath us. So as you bring your awareness to this moment, to this breath, in this body, in this place, sensing into the support that exists for you in this moment. Literally the support of the ground and the chair. And as you feel your points of contact between the body and the chair, the floor, any more effort than you need to, because it's okay to just rest. It's okay to just allow yourself to be held here. Breathing in and out. And sensing into what is well and good within you with kindness. Some of us may be experiencing some challenge, whether physical or otherwise. See if in this moment you can just allow it to be. Breathe in and out with a sense of spaciousness that can hold whatever it is that is alive in you right now. Sense into the quality of the heart in this moment, inviting a sense of kindness, nurturing, compassion for whatever it is that might be in any way troubling you in this moment. And if there are no troubles in your experience, just imagine sending out a sense of compassion, a sense of the wish for well-being to anyone in this room, in this space who might need it. This is for you. This is for you. Letting thought drop away. and resting in the sensations of your life in this moment. Allow a sense of the kind of bright aliveness that a fresh breath can give us. A sense of right here, right now. Awakening to this moment. And when you're ready, if the eyes have been closed, if you can open them. In your own way, really allow this moment of inward settling to be a support for what we will do here together, this sort of interpersonal mindfulness that we'll experience together over the next day or so. We're glad you're here. Whatever happens or unfolds over the next day or two will be at least in part because you are here. No accidents. So I know you've had a chance to look around and check in with each other. But I want to also allow, if you're willing, neurobiologists tell us how important it is if we're willing to allow some human touch in our lives. And it might be difficult for some of us. We might not be sitting where that's convenient. We might not feel open to that in the moment. But if you're willing, there might be a shoulder next to yours that you might be able to put a hand behind it. Is anybody willing to have a hand placed on your shoulder for a little bit of support? Raise your hand if you're willing to have a little bit of support in this moment. Yeah. So let's see if we can. And if we're not close enough to someone, might put a hand over our own hearts, one hand over our own belly button, right? And in whatever way feels comfortable. Again, we might just offer this to ourselves, breathing in and out, the wish for well-being, the knowledge that we are here together. You're not alone. What brought you here is something that is a thread that is running through each of us in this moment. It's a thread that runs back beyond who we think we are in these packages in these moments. It runs back through our generations and generations, the ancestors we know, the 250,000 years of human history that we can never really know, but that we know exists. The scientists tell us. So as we sit here, just know that you're not alone. Know that whatever your story, it's magnificent beyond name. And that we are here to support each other in living our highest and best. And we cannot do it without each other. So I want to just close this offering with these traditional phrases of loving kindness. That as I say them, if you would repeat them in a way that encompasses ourselves. We're on that path of seeking to bring mindfulness into the world for the alleviation, I'll say for myself, of suffering. But that includes me, includes us all. So may we each and all be filled with loving kindness. May we be well in body and in mind. May we be safe from inner and outer dangers. May we be truly joyful, liberated, and free. Thank you. Thank you, dear ones. And so we do have this beautiful journey together. I'll be here later I'll be here for a couple of sessions today, but I thank you, and I support you on this journey. So let's see what arises as we go together. Take good care.